Hello, I'm John Singer, and today we're going to fold a giant squid. Giant squid is an animal that lives deep in the ocean and has a lot of tentacles and is really pretty cool, but not much is known about this mysterious creature. To fold this model, I recommend a larger sheet of paper. The one you just saw was folded from a 19-inch square of marble windstone. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to be using foil to maximize the sculpting towards the end of the model and make it a little easier to demonstrate that aspect of it. This is a 15-inch square, and you can begin by folding a preliminary fold, as I just did. Next, we're going to make a landmark. We're going to bring this corner here over to that edge and just pinch through one layer of paper right here, like so. And when you unfold, you have this mark here. Now we're going to make a fold from here down to here or so, and we're going to swing the corner on the right until it lines up with the landmark we just made, like so. This creates a 15-degree angle, and it sets up the geometry of the whole model, which is based on 15 and 30 and 60 degrees and so forth, rather than the traditional 45 and 22 and a half. Now we're going to take the flap on the left and fold it over to cover the flap on the right, and they should line up like so and like so. And you've divided this 90-degree angle into thirds, which I guess are 30-degree angles. However, from here to here is a 15-degree angle. Okay, then we're going to take the square flap on top and fold it to the right. This should be right on the center line. Then we're going to take the other layer, fold it to the left. So now we've actually divided this 90-degree angle into 6 equal divisions, which is 15 degrees. Alright, so just take a moment and smooth that out. Then we're going to flip the model over and repeat the same steps. This time we don't need to make a landmark over here because we can just use the layer behind as a guide and fold your paper flush to that. It will work out. Okay, so like that, and like this, and the overlapping does give you a little bit of a check against an error. Okay, and then fold in half. Right. Pull out the other layer, fold the flap to the right. Now we've pretty much divided the whole paper into 15-degree angles, and if you unfold completely, you'll see what I mean. But we're not going to unfold completely, we're just going to unfold back to our original water bomb base. So we'll unfold on one side, turn it over, and then unfold the other side, like so. Now what we're going to do is pull out a layer here, and we're using an existing crease to reverse fold. So because it's foil here, you need to take a little extra care reversing this valley to a mountain right here. But it's, you know, a very straightforward fold. So if you have a little wrinkle, of course, take a moment and straighten it out, like so. Okay, so what we end up with is a form like this. Right. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side here. I'm going to fold here on existing folds, and then reverse the middle and flatten. Okay, so you have this rather large form here. Now we're going to do a little more pre-creasing. We're going to fold from this where this line meets the edge of the paper to where this crease meets the edge of the paper. And that's also brings the edge parallel to that fold right there. Okay, like so. And unfold and do the same thing on the other side. This model has a lot of symmetry, so we'll be repeating a lot of things on the left and then the right. Now we're going to fold this corner under as a mountain fold, and the landmarks are these two points here where the creases intersect. So fold under such that those 2 points lie on the fold that you create, like so. Now we're going to fold a flap from here to here underneath, and this is also a mountain fold. Okay, like so. And again over here. And fold the flap underneath. And you'll see now we have 1, 2, 3 scalene triangles, each composed of 2 smaller right triangles. Okay, now we're going to turn the model over and repeat that set of steps. Okay, we repeated these steps on the opposite side and have matching sets of triangles here. What we're going to now is a crimp. We're going to bring some layers in. So start by taking this fold, the one next to the center line, and converting it to a mountain fold. And the fold next to it becomes a valley fold. Now you're going to repeat that on the opposite side as well. And all this requires is just a little finesse. These are existing creases. You don't need to do very much here. But line them up, make it neat, flatten. Oops, you can see I actually missed here. Better correct that. Like so. Okay, and so what we have now is 2 layers here and here, and still this corner out here. And now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, so continuing now, we have a form where we have 2 flaps here, and 2 flaps here, and 2 wider flaps here. And if you turn the model over, you'll see 2 more flaps here, and 2 more flaps here. So we're going to develop the base now. We're going to begin by taking this point here at the top, we're off the center, and folding it right to there where the edge of that thing is, and you can see the white. And we're going to fold across, and unfold, and then we're going to fold this tip through this point and across this way, so that this point comes down to there on the edge, in fact the corner right there. Okay, see that, the corner right there? Right, and we're only going to fold on the right hand side from here to the edge. And we're going to unfold and fold the point to this corner and fold on the left edge from the center to there. So now you see you have this line straight across intersecting this shallow V. Very good. Now we're going to pull out a flap from here, so you see that there's more than one layer. In between the first flap and the second flap, we're going to pull out an inner flap. And this is a reverse fold, and the top of the reverse fold lines up to this point right here where we just solved for that point. And you know, it feels fairly natural just to go to that point anyway, but you can look inside and check and make sure you're going high enough, like so, and then pull out and flatten. Just like that. Okay, good. Now we're going to take the point that we just pulled out, and we're going to do some reverse folds. So first I'm going to pre-crease. We're going to go in and out, and you see how there's a suggestion of a crease available to you there. And then in again, like so. Okay, so we just did it as a series of valley folds. Now we're going to unfold that, change those to reverse folds, like so. In and out. And in again. You want to keep your points nice and pointy here. These are going to become tentacles eventually, so the neater you work now, the better the payoff will be at the end. Alright. There we go. So, nice little gusset in there now. Okay, we're going to repeat this series of steps now on the left-hand side. And then we're going to turn the model over and repeat it again on both the same flaps on the opposite side. So continuing now, we've put in this series of reverse folds the whole way around on this side and on this side. Okay, and next we're going to take this center and we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to actually swing this pair of flaps to the left, and as we do, we're going to reverse fold the middle layer here. So this fold lines up with the folds you've already made before. And we'll have a square flap, square corner sticking out on the left there. And on this side now, it's straight through. Okay, so we're actually going to turn the model over and repeat, but we're going to repeat now. So because it's flipped over, these are going to the right. Okay, and turn the model over again so we're on the side we were on originally. We're going to do now is fold and unfold this flap here as high as it will go, just right from the corner, and the limit is this little thinning maneuver we did before. So we have a fold like that. Fold it back flat, turn the model over and repeat. Okay, unfold. Turn the model over. Now we're going to fold and unfold this entire flap in this general direction, and we're going to make it so that the fold originates from this corner and is perpendicular to this edge. So this edge will line up with this point here, like so. And then bring that all the way up. And unfold. And now we have a crease running that way. What we're going to do next is crimp. So we're going to fold the fold we just made so it lines up with the center line of the model right there. Unfold. And now these two folds become a crimp. So go ahead and crimp it. In and out again, like so. Okay, there you go, very good. We're going to unfold this flap so it's flat again and restored to the way it was at the outset. And we're going to do that behind too. Then we're going to repeat the same set of steps on the opposite side. Alright, continuing, we've now repeated those pre-folds and the crimp on the left hand side. And we've flattened the middle area, but you can now see we have these two creases in here which weren't before. We're actually going to use those right now. We're going to pedal fold, and we're going to grab this second thing and bring it along with us. We're going to bring these tentacles, these points together. The point up here is going to lift up. That's also on an existing crease. And then you just flatten, and you see that we have a little bit of a sticky uppy part right there. And down in the back here, these layers that were exposed are now, you have a fold here and a fold here parallel to the center line. Okay, so we got this big flap sticking up, so we're just going to flatten it to one side, like so. Actually, then what we're going to do is flatten it to the other side and open it up and perform a squash fold on it. You might have seen that coming, huh? Okay. Now we're going to perform another petal fold. And if you want, before you do that, you can pre-crease. Fold this flap over here. Unfold and fold this flap over here, and you use the layer behind as your guide. You can bring those together, and again it'll be the same kind of situation where you have a flap sticking up in the middle. So you can fold that down to one side and fold it down to the other side. And you know what? We're going to squash fold again. Like so. Okay, and we're going to petal fold again, and this time we don't have any leftover flaps sticking up in the middle, and the two edges come together, and that's the end of it. Okay, so you should have a series of squash and petal folds running down the middle there at this point. What we're going to do is we're actually now going to take this whole section of papers and sink it into the layer behind. So begin with fold this flap to the left, and you see this fold here? That's a valley fold. That's going to become a mountain fold. So it's actually not that hard. It's a lot easier than you might think, sinking a whole bunch of layers, because they're all tightly connected and it's a shallow sink. So all we're really doing is rearranging the layers so that the smooth, large layer ends up on top. The only thing you want to be careful of is not to wrinkle it or accidentally introduce a new crease. You want to use the existing crease. So on foil, that's always something you gotta watch for. Alright. There we go. Let's take a little moment to finesse it here. Good. And we're going to now perform the same fold on this. We're going to sink this other cluster of layers. We're going to fold it to the right. That becomes a mountain fold. And the layers sink right in. Then we're going to take this full flap here and fold it down. Be careful to make it nice and flat. Okay, there we go. So here's one side done. Now we're going to return the model over and repeat the last sequence of steps on the opposite side until that side is in the same configuration. as this side. Okay, continuing, we've now processed the center flap on the other side as well. Now we're going to be concentrating on the two long flaps on the side, and we begin with a reverse fold. This goes through all the way up to the top on the inside as far as it will go. Right there, you can see the point. Okay, come back. Like that, and flatten. Adjust if you need to make both sides the same. Okay, now we're going to repeat that on the other long flap. Reverse it in up as far as it will go right there. And then line up both sides and flatten. Alright, continuing, we're going to open up the model from this point all the way to this point. We're going to more or less fold this flap over, but the model won't lie flat. The middle section is just raised for the time being. We're going to do a swivel fold down here where the reverse side of the paper is exposed to narrow the point there. So we start with a valley on the existing crease, and then we wrap that around all the way to that point there and flatten. However, again, the model doesn't really lie flat at this point, so flattening it in the air. And the next thing we're going to do is put this flap back, but as we do, we're going to introduce a new fold. And it will be bringing this flap back to the center line. So you go ahead and get that started from both ends, from this point and this point. And then you'll see as you reach the top, it doesn't quite want to lie flat. So a little gusset, a little extra crimp will naturally form right up in there. And that part will be hidden, so you don't really need to worry too much about it. As long as it, looks nice when it's done. Okay, so just like so. And you can see that in here, there's this little extra wedge that just kind of lays down, gets flattened with the rest. Okay, so we're going to repeat that 3 more times on the other 3 flaps. Okay, so we've just performed the maneuver of narrowing these tips and so forth on both sides of both flaps. Now continuing, we're going to concentrate on this flap here, and what we're going to do is sort of pull it open. We're going to essentially do a reverse fold, so one edge lies on here, and then the other lies parallel with an existing crease that's behind there already. And then flatten that. And then we're going to reverse again. And this is an asymmetrical reverse fold that comes up so that the this side and the inside is on the center line, and that goes as far as it'll go. And then you just carry it through and flatten, and you see you have another flap here. So one more reverse fold will be sufficient to make that disappear. So fold that back in towards the center, And then coming towards the outside now, you'll see 2 layers here. Okay, so then we're going to repeat that sequence of steps 3 more times here and turn it over and do it twice more. Okay, continuing on now, we've narrowed these points and created 4 actual points here now on each side, and we still have these 2 large points. So we're going to fold in half here, a simple valley fold. That's all. And we're going to repeat that 3 more times for the other flap on this side, and then both flaps on the opposite side. And that tucks under those stacks of points, like so. Okay, now you find here there's a open layer in this flap, so we're going to take the fold that we just made and now mountain fold along the entire length of this flap out to the point, back up inside as far as it'll go, and tuck that in like so. Okay, and there we go. And now we're going to repeat that 3 times. So this other layer gets tucked inside behind it, like so. Right, and then on this side as well. Oops, and try not to let it separate too much, but a little is alright. This is all going to get hidden. Alright, so now here we are. This is pretty much the squid base. You have 8 short tentacles and 2 long tentacles. And now what we're going to do is actually take these folds that we just made and do a reverse on the long tentacles at an angle, maybe like so. Okay, and the one on the other side too. And now we're going to do essentially a rabbit ear. We're going to fold the whole thing in half again. Up to where it joins the body. And there we're just going to let it remain like so. Okay, and same with the other one here. Just basically a mountain fold all the way through the middle. And then when it gets to the top, you just spread it a little bit organically, like so. And we're going to sculpt and shape these tentacles. So they can go in pretty much any pose you like. For the purpose of the demonstration, I'm going to kind of curve them up this way. And then the other thing you must do is open up the tip a little bit and create sort of a it's a spoon shape, you'd call it, like a pointy spoon, and that's how you finish the end. So same thing over here, you can open it up a little bit, flatten out some layers. Okay, and then as for the rest, you'll just curve that nicely into shape. This works very well with if you use like a marble windstone paper or something like that and you wet fold it, really brings out the sculptural qualities. Okay, now we're going to finish the top part of the body. So we're going to pre-crease basically an X through the top part of the model, and you can see that the ends of the X run to these points and these points, and those are mountain folds. So we're just going to use those to bend back this top piece here and kind of then sculpt that and create a bit of a separation again between the I'm not sure what you call this. Is this the head or the tail? I'm not up on my squid anatomy, but anyway, you kind of do that. Alright, then we're going to sort of create an eye right here, and we're going to do that by first pinching the model in half like that and bending it. And while you're at it, you might as well do the other side so they're symmetrical. Okay, and then there's multiple layers in here, so you're just going to take the top layer and pull it back up. And if you're like me and you grab 2 layers, then you can actually take the second to top layer and spread that out just a little. There's your eye right there. Okay, same thing on the other side. Take that top layer and reverse it, and then spread it out a little bit to create an eye, like so. Okay, and now the very last step is to simply sculpt the tentacles. So there's 8 of them, 4 on each side. So you begin with a mountain fold. It's something like a rabbit ear, except you don't carry it up all the way to make it creased at the top. You just let it bend, and then you just thin these layers and bend them out to taste. You can maybe make the second pair come out further than the first pair. So, and then continue on with the back layers. Like that. Okay, that's 6. And here's number 7. Okay, so there we go. We have our tentacles now, and we have our squid. So now you can spend a little time tweaking and sculpting and shaping until you're satisfied with the appearance. Okay, giant squid.